Before we continue, we're going to have to take a step back and look at how to actually label things with sticky notes in HTML the way we did in my kitchen. So what I've done here is I have gone into a text editor and written up all of the content of my kitchen. So up at the top here, I have kitchen, and then within the kitchen is all the things on my counter. The wine glass is on the counter, the knife block is on the counter. Within the knife block is a bunch of knives, and then everything else, the shelves in my cabinet, and the pot rack, and the pots. So say, for example, I need to tell the browser how to understand that this is flour. So we can't just, in a text editor, take a sticky note and stick it on top of the flour, because this is a text editor. This just won't work. So we have to find a way of actually putting the tag actually in the text. So how would you go ahead and do that? Well, one thing you can try is creating a little tag by hand. You note that you have these little brackets, and you can use them to make a thing that looks kind of like a tag. And now maybe the browser will know, okay, this is the flour tag, and it's indicating that this is flour. But the problem with this is that if the browser's reading through, how is it going to know that this flour tag goes to this and not to this? It's a little bit complicated in a text editor to indicate one thing, whereas in real life, you can just stick the sticky note on top of it. In a text editor, you need to figure out ways to delineate which thing you're actually pointing to. So this isn't going to work because it doesn't actually indicate where I'm pointing. It could kind of go anywhere. So another way to do this might be to do something like, okay, I want to indicate that it's this right here. So if you look on your keyboard at the comma and period keys, you'll see little arrows. I call them carets. And if you hit the shift key, you can make a little pointer here, and I can point to flour. And I might also need to indicate when to stop looking at flour so that the browser doesn't just keep reading on to beans as well. So I'm going to make another arrow pointing to the other side of flour. So now, with this little syntax, the carets or the arrows pointing, I know that everything between these two arrows is flour. Oops. Except not, because I have to write the tag in here too. So this isn't quite going to work either, because the browser needs to know that this is the tag and not just another word like sugar. So I need a way to mark the beginning of the tag, as well as writing the tag name and pointing to where what the tag is indicating starts and where it ends. So the way we do this in HTML is with another one of these little arrows. So now this looks kind of like a tag, right? It's starting to shape up. It looks like it's one cohesive little thing, kind of like this, except it's pointy on the edges. So this is a good strategy so far, but it won't quite work. The flaw with this is that it's going to have trouble understanding that this little pointer ender is the end of flour and not something that started up here. Say, for example, I wanted to indicate that this was all the counter. I might do something like this. Counter, and then down here, end the counter, right? But then what we've got is the browser's like, okay, this is all counter, and then when it gets to here, what's ending? Is the counter ending or is flour ending? The browser doesn't know. So what we need to do is whenever we have one of these end pointing arrows, we need to indicate what's ending. And the way we do that is by typing the tag name again, flour. And same thing here with beans. Now this is yet again not sufficient, because how does the browser know that I'm not starting a new flour right here and then everything between here and then the next closing flower is flower. So we need a way to differentiate a starting flower tag from an ending flower tag. And what we can use is this little /. It's like a slash that says no, stop, this isn't it. So flower and then slash, no more flower. So this is beginning flower, this is ending flower. So this is the tag, and it's got these little arrows that point to what's in between the starting and ending tag, and everything in between those two arrows is flower. So remember, it's a / and not a backslash. The / is like leaning forward, like a little guy leaning forward, and it's right next to the little caret tag. So that's easy to remember. Just always go right next to them. So this is the syntax for how to mark up a page with HTML to tell the browser what it means. Now, of course, in real HTML, there's no such tag as flower and beans. This is my kitchen. But this would be the way to do it. Now we're going to have to go down here. Remember, I put this little closing tag from counter. Need to go down here and make sure that I have stop counter. Okay, now can you kind of see how I would mark up the rest of this?